Welcome back, everybody, to Andy the Banker Show. Today's episode is a little bit interesting because we had a big pull down on the market today. Today is October 1st, and almost all the stock market today we had indiscriminate selling. Now that's actually my favorite type of selling is when we have indiscriminate selling, because during indiscriminate selling there is a higher potential of some of these stocks being sold out, right? Indiscriminate selling happens when, let's say, we have a huge major market news that but the people are scared in the market, and people, instead of picking out which stocks they're going to choose to sell, they literally just sell out of their ETFs, sell out of the companies itself. Now, this gives me a better opportunity to buy in. And actually, today I did buy a little bit more into Costco. Now, the opposite of this type of selling is discriminate selling. All right, discriminate selling gets me a little bit worried because discriminate selling is when the market is going up, but only your particular stock seems to be going down. Like, for example, imagine instead of all these stocks being red, only, let's say, Chipotle was the one that's going down, right? It makes me wonder, like, why is Chipotle the only one in the stock market that seems to be going down on this particular day? Like, what is causing Chipotle to be discriminated against compared to their peers? So that is something that I really take, considerable thought process into whenever I'm trying to buy in. Now, whenever we have indiscriminate selling like we had today, where basically the whole market, essentially almost the whole market, is selling off, those are days where I am usually a full buyer on, and I get really greedy when others are fearful. Now, one of the questions that I keep getting asked is what I am thinking about this port strike, right? How is it changing my investing plans? And to be honest with you guys, it's not. Right, there is no change in plans just because of the port strike. Now, one of the things about port strikes, although it does impact businesses, there is an end to all strikes. Right, I'm sure that last time we had a port strike, you guys probably don't even remember when that was. Essentially, one thing I do like about port strikes is that even though it does impact the economy, because me and other investors know that there is an end to all strikes, we don't really make it a big change into our investing plans. Now, if we happen to have no idea when the port strike would end, the longer the port strike goes on, that's when we create more uncertainty, and that's when we create more volatility in the market. I'll give you an example. All right. When we have bad news and we don't know when it's going to get resolved, for example, the pandemic, right? When COVID first started, we had no idea when the vaccines were going to be created. We literally had everything was uncertain during COVID times. And when everything is uncertain, that is when investors are most fearful. In the typical case of a port strike, a labor union, there's always an end to these things. There's going to be an agreement. As a result, because we know there's an end, it doesn't impact our investing plans as much as if there was some news that would impact the business and we would have no idea how long it would be going on for. Now, in my last video, I did inform you all that I will be buying more aggressively into the stock market as we get closer into the election cycle, right? As election cycle nears November 6th, I am getting more and more aggressive and more aggressively contributing into my portfolio and buying more. The main reason why is in that the last six elections, or the last six election cycles, it didn't matter who won the election. The S&P 500 went up by 10% or more. So, for example, let's go back to 2004, right? From 2004 to the following year, so starting from 2005, actually, my apologies, 2005 to end of 2005, the stock market went up by 10% or more. Same thing with 2009. So if we look at 2009, start of 2009, and then we look at end of 2009, again, the stock market goes up by 10% or more. Now, does this always mean that after every single election cycle, the stock market, the S&P 500 is going to go up by 10% or no? Absolutely not. I could be wrong on this. But my betting piece here, my opinion on this particular case is that I don't see why this election cycle would be different from the past six that we had. Right? I don't see why we can't have another 10 double digit 10% or more growth in the S&P 500. Now, one information somebody asked me on my TikTok lives was like, Andy, how big do you think this AI trend is going to be? How big is Microsoft going to make money in AI? And do you believe in AI? And that's always a complicated question. The reason why is because I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know if AI is going to be big or not. But here is why I still invest in Microsoft, hoping for the AI trade. And it's mainly because of this man, Satya Nadella. All right. The reason why I invest in Microsoft for their AI hopes is because of Satya Nadella. This guy was able to turn around Microsoft from their lost decade. We call it the lost decade of Microsoft. And this guy was able to turn Microsoft from a company that was basically moving sideways to the company that we know it is today, because he made the decision to invest in Microsoft Azure. Now, because he made an amazing decision after amazing decision, to me, I believe in his decision making, right? Although I may not be the biggest believer in AI, right? Honestly, because I just don't understand AI too much. I'm in the finance field rather than the AI software space. I trust his decision making. And if this man is able to be sold on AI, then I am also going to be sold on AI. And that's how I believe and go into the Microsoft trade and go into the AI trades, is that the CEOs of these amazing software companies, if they really believe in this AI and because of their credibility, I believe in their decision making as well. And this kind of relates to people at their workplace, right? When you are a worker and you've or a leader who have made amazing decisions in the past, like you have a great track record of just amazing credibility, people will trust your judgment in the future when you make a bet on something like crazy like AI, right? That's something that you want to consider, that the CEO does matter for a company. And this man definitely, I do trust him on his management of Microsoft. Today, whole market went down essentially indiscriminately, right? However, the past month, essentially, there has been one sector that's been doing amazing, all right? And that sector is going to be the Chinese stocks. And with almost every time period, we're going to have the next Chinese thing, right? Before the Chinese stocks, it was the semiconductor stocks like Nvidia, AMD. Before that, it was Tesla. Before that, it's Kava, right? So we always have this newish shiny thing on the stock market. However, here is why I don't chase into them, and it's a quote from Jim Cramer that I take into seriously. All right, and his comments is that bulls make money, bears make money, but pigs get, well, I don't want to say what, that word online. I might get canceled for it, but pigs basically get something else other than making money. All right, and that's a famous saying from Jim Cramer. For example, all right, imagine, let's say I was a pig, all right, and I see a stock like Alibaba go up by 45% in a single month, and I'm thinking, wow, it just went up by 45%. I believe it can go another 45%. And let's say I have that thought process, right? Hypothetically, I'm a pig. I could be potentially burned here on a trade, because well, is it possible? Is it definitely possible? Yes, right. Alibaba, there is a chance that it could go another 45%. What are the likeliness though? Right, that's the part that you got to consider, and you don't want to be too greedy. Sometimes, every couple months or so, we get a brand new shiny stock, and people start getting greedy. People start wanting to dive into these stocks that went up so fast, so quickly, thinking that once they get in, it's also gonna go up so fast. But you just gotta be careful. You don't want to get too greedy in stocks. It's okay to be bullish. It's okay to be bearish, but you don't want to be chasing a stock just because you see it going up, for example, 45% in a single month. That can definitely be pig behavior there. Now, lastly, what is my plan with my portfolio now that we see a big pullback in today's market? I am buying more, you guys. All right. I don't tell people what to do with their money. I don't tell them to sell. I don't tell them to buy. But with my own money, as the market keeps on pulling back more and more, I am happy to buy more and more. Essentially, I'm getting, as there's more fear in the market, I am going with more greed. And then after the election cycle, as we will have lesser volatility in my thought process because the election will be over, then I will go back to my regular amount of investing. Right. But at this current amount, I'm trying to find as much cash anywhere as I can find to put into the stock market. And that's what I'm doing with my own money. This is not a recommendation of what you should do with your money, nothing like that. And thank you so much for watching, you guys. It's been great. And thank you for I'll see you on the next episode of Andy the Banker Show. Thank you very much. Bye bye.